President Biden attempting to squash any fears about his age in a new political ad for battleground states.
I know I'm not a young man, but I know how to do this job. When you get knocked down, you get back up.
Senator Rand Paul has been sounding the alarm on the president's mental acuity for months, and he joins us now. Senator, good morning. Great to see you. So just Team Biden is trying to argue that the president is fit for the job, that he may be older, but what we saw last Thursday night was not normal. Definitely not. What was your take on watching the president, given your observations over the past couple of months?
You know, my concern is that weakness invites tragedy. You know, with the evacuation in Afghanistan, and this is, a year or two ago now, the weakness of it, retreating from a commercial airport instead of retreating if we were going to leave from the Air Force Base at Bagram, which would have been a much more sound military strategy. In that weakness, 13 soldiers died. But then the reaction also comes from a point of weakness and perhaps related to senility, is that he overreacts. And so he says, well, we must do something, and I must show that I'm not weak. And so there's an overreaction, and they killed an aid worker and several children with a drone because we must do something. The world thinks I'm weak. Americans think I'm weak. They think I'm ineffectual, so I have to do more. So really the problem with weakness often isn't inaction, it's overaction and response. But it also sends a signal to the world that America doesn't know what it's doing. Mm-hmm. And, we saw the warnings from Khomeini recently from the Ayatollah saying something's going to happen somewhere around the world at one of your bases. And I take that at face value, and I think we have to be prepared. But I think we have to be cognizant that weakness leads to overreaction, could lead to something much worse. Yeah,
the country is facing big issues, big threats. The New York Times puts it this way. They said the image of the nation has become some combination of unhinged and doddering, especially striking at a time when the U.S. is supposed to be leading the fight against a rising alliance of autocracies that includes China, Russia, and Iran. Also, of course, Senator, over the weekend, the U.S. military was warned in Europe that a credible intel threat for a terrorist attack was in place over the next week or so. So while back home we're having this debate about Joe Biden's mental acuity and, trying to debunk these lies from the White House about whether he actually is having these problems or not, the rest of the world is watching, and the adversaries, as you say, are taking advantage of that weakness.
Well, and I think that you can see in contrast Donald Trump. Donald Trump, probably like very few other leaders, projects strength. He sometimes is bombastic, but nobody believes that he will sit idly by. But interestingly, and I've been around him when we were attacked, we had a drone shot down by the Iranians, and around him were many other people like, we've got to do something. We must bomb Tehran. We must invade Iran. And his response was much more reasoned, but his response was also such that he cared about every soldier, and he knew for every reaction there'd be a reaction, and that he was concerned, how many Iranian soldiers will we kill? How many will they come back and kill? And it was a very thoughtful process, much more so than I think people give Donald Trump credit for. But I think by projecting strength, you're allowed to have a more measured response. If you project weakness, like Biden does, then you become hysterical that I must do something, I must do something, we must attack, we must invade, because otherwise I will look weak. Right. So I think if you can project strength like Donald Trump does, it may actually save us and prevent us from entering into war needlessly.
Yeah, panic never gives us good results in terms of policy, whether it's domestic or foreign policy. Senator, you've been a supporter of President Trump. The RNC convention is in about 2 weeks' time in Milwaukee. Are you going to give him your full endorsement?
I have told them I'm persuadable, but I'm going to need a little bit more of a conversation. If they're willing to have the conversation, I'm open to the discussion.
On what issue specifically?
Well, the debt. I mean, there was about $8 trillion worth of debt added under the Trump administration. There will be about $8 trillion added under the Biden administration. I'm a deficit hawk. I ran for Congress because we have so much debt added. And so we have to do a better job on draining the swamp. The FDA under Trump with Scott Gottlieb, he went right out the revolving door back over to Pfizer and then began suppressing speech on Twitter. So there are some things I would like help with the COVID investigation. And if Donald Trump is willing to say, when I am elected, I'm going to release all of the information for the presidency for my investigation, that would go a long way towards getting me.
Okay, well, if you decide to do the endorsement, please come back and let us know. Senator Rand Paul, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.